We start with Celtics-Knicks, Mazz. Where do you stand today, Celtics-Knicks, versus where we left off on Friday?
Well, they still need the next game. And, in fact, if we're going to get real technical about it, it wasn't just about winning one, and it wasn't just about winning two. It's about winning three and getting an advantage in the series. So if you go 2 for 2 in New York, you come back here. I understand it's their floor, but, the whole point of having home court is to never be down in the series. So to me, it was incumbent upon them to win 3 in a row. And look, they played well in this game. The threes went in. It's easy to say that, well, the only difference is that they made their 3-pointers and that was it. And I don't think it's that simple. I think there was more to it than that. And I thought early, especially, that it was evident by the way they were playing defense in the first couple of possessions of the game that they were serious. And so, and I focused on Tatum. I thought Tatum was all over Karl Anthony Towns in the early part of that game. And I think it was the first or second possession where he poked the ball away from him, stole it, and went in. They got an easy 2. And I thought, well, this is a good sign. And so I think that that's a good matchup for Tatum in a lot of ways. One, it will test him a little because Towns is bigger than him. And 2, he should be able to handle him. So to me, that was indicative of how they looked from there. I have some specific thoughts on him, but overall, they came out, they were ready to go. They took control of the game early, and I thought they really controlled it on both ends, starting with defense. I thought that was more important.
Saturday was exactly what I thought it would be. Bombs away, but this time they'd hit them. And credit where it's due. Mazz is right. It wasn't just about that. There were things that I liked about this game you hadn't seen in the previous 2, specifically shooting less threes. They only took 40. I thought Mazzulla was good with the timeouts. Any semblance of any start of any kind of Knicks run, he was right on it, banged the timeout, snuffed out any momentum. Mazz said he's right, defense was better. And there was more Peyton Pritchard, which is something I was clamoring for after the first game. But all in all, really, though, it's as simple as this. The Celtics hit at an absurd rate, and they're infinitely better than the Knicks, who stink and are soft. You mentioned Karl Anthony Towns. Is he still wincing with his hand? My hand. My hand. Oh, my hand. Can I be any more overdramatic? Get this team out of my face. Just please win these next 3 and get this over with.
So, second thing, I think the Knicks are trash. I don't think, and that's relatively speaking, you don't need to take it literally, Ben Stiller, but I think they're Eastern Conference fodder for you. So I don't think they're anything special. They're not even close to you. You should beat the team. And so it's really largely about the Knicks. So if you play well, shoot reasonably well, you should still win the series. And so that I really never felt differently through the first 2 games. But here's where I also feel exactly the same, Mazz. If they're just going to tell me that this is their process, and this is just like an extension of their process, they're applying the same process to this till Saturday and tonight as they applied to games 1 and 2. It's just that the shots went in, then I'm out on them winning a championship. I don't believe in their process. If they're just going to feed me that crap, we made them one night, we missed them the other night, and that's all it comes down to, then I don't believe in them. Period, story over.
Do you think they played that way?
So, no, I see your point, Mazz. And what I really think was how they played once they had the lead. So they took 19 3-pointers in the first half, 21 in the second. The 40 is the same number they shot in game 2. So they're down from game 1. They've realized what they did in game 1 was just stupid. That's 60. So they're down to 40. So the raw attempt is the same, and they kept shooting in the second half. But, Mazz, I don't know. The Knicks never got close for it to matter.
No. So I'll tell you what the difference was to me. Like, I think, look, them saying that the philosophy is the same is largely true. I'm not going to it's largely true. There's still 43s they're still going to take 43s. Now, it's less than they took during the regular season. So good. By almost 25%, right? They took 48 a game, I think, during the regular season. So they're down they're down to 40. So that's not an insignificant drop. And I'll tell you what the difference was for me as far as the shooting goes. There was a stretch or 2 in the third quarter where it looked to me like they were getting a little 3 happy, and the Knicks were starting to eat into the lead, and it was timeout. immediately from Missoula, or there was one in particular where Jaylen Brown got the ball on the right wing, had a three, and decided to dribble and go to the hoop.
Nice.
And I thought, okay, there you go. You have a big lead. Don't be stupid and just start shooting threes out of your ass when all you need is twos to make them, the gap is so big, they're not going to catch you swapping threes for twos. It's not a small enough gap where they're going to be able to do that. And so I thought they caught themselves, whereas they didn't catch themselves in games 1 and 2, particularly game 1. So now do I think they could lapse back into it? Yes, because they did lapse back into it a little bit in that third quarter. And so now again, Missoula caught them. And Missoula, for all of his rhetoric, he's a blowhard too. Because he called those timeouts quick, Mike. He called them fast. Like, I'm not going to let the same thing happen. So the guy who wouldn't call one with 12 seconds left in the game all of a sudden decided to call them when the lead got to 17. So he acknowledged a mistake there, whether he wants to do it verbally or not.
Okay. So, here's all I know. I don't believe in their process. Because when you say it's about sticking to the process, what they really mean is the formula, the math. And I'm not coming down now for this in any way, shape, or form. I don't believe in their math. If their process is tied to the math, I don't believe in them. I don't. And whether that means, and I've said this the entire time, whether it means this series, probably not, or the next, probably not, or the one after that, maybe more so. If they stick to their process, if they just are playing the numbers, they're going to lose. And I think that they're doing a tremendous disservice by approaching it that way, because they're the best team. They have the best players. They have the most talent. And in the NBA, more than any other sport, that's what matters. And to have the best talent and the best players, and to just fall back on the process, meaning, translation, the formula, they're doing themselves a disservice. That's what I think. And we'll see how that all plays out. I don't think the Knicks are good enough. So it's probably not going to matter. If the lead stays at 20, it doesn't matter. But, Mazz, you make a good point. And thank you for being more granular with that in the second half. I have to admit, second half blowouts, I lose the rope a little bit. I can't do NBA blowouts, so correct me if I'm wrong. That they just treated it the same way. You're telling me they didn't? Good. If they treat it the same way, it's gonna trip them up eventually, is what I think. So that's that. Celtics, 617-779-0985. Item number 2. The owner had to fly to Kansas City to sit down with the ball player and the manager and the GM.
No. He didn't sit with the GM. The GM wasn't involved in the meeting. Key point of this story to me.
Keep going.
I mean, I think it's embarrassing that John Henry had to fly out there in the first place. This is the job of the manager and the chief baseball nerd, Craig Breslow, who clearly can't do their jobs. But to me, the most interesting thing is that Breslow's not involved in the meeting with Cora and Henry, and I think Sam Kennedy and the player. But put on the pay no mind list there is Craig Breslow. They have given all the power to Rafael Devers. If John Henry was going to get involved, and he has, he should have sacked up and told Devers, you meet with me at the time of my choosing here in Boston. So it's clear to Devers who's in charge. You fly out there to meet with him. You're letting him know you've got all the power. This thing's a mess. And now Devers hates Craig Breslow. They had, you stay out there. You're like, what a mess. And look, he's been raking, and you need him in the lineup. But this thing is going to continue to devolve here as the season goes along.
I think, Mazz, quickly, they hate each other. And just listening to the Breslow sound from Friday, I think it's clear. I discerned a little human tone from the clone. I think if Devers hates the GM, I think the feeling's mutual. Your thoughts?
So, look, clearly there's something there, and my question is, why? And when I say why, I can understand it from Breslow's point of view. I think Cora kind of threw Breslow under the bus on this one, as if Cora didn't have a say in the whole process. This is like what he pawned it off on Breslow. Cora says all the time they have discussions, they have conversations. He's in charge of the uniform personnel. And so what? He didn't want to go back to Devers and have the second conversation and drop the whole thing on Breslow's lap? I don't buy that. I think Cora was involved in the decision-making as well. In fact, the whole thing might have been Cora's idea. Mike, I keep going back to that Kenny Rosenthal story that appeared in September of last year. Where did Rosenthal get it? Where did Rosenthal get the idea that they were going to sign Bregman, put Casas up for trade, maybe to Seattle, and try to get some pitching and move Devers to first? Breslow leaked that to Kenny Rosenthal? I have a hard time believing that. My guess is it would be Cora before it was Breslow. So, and to me, and that is the sort, that's a big part of my complaint with how the team handled it. So I feel like Breslow kind of got thrown under the bus a little bit. I think Cora, in theory, was in the meeting in part to serve as a translator and a buffer between Henry and Devers. But I can understand Breslow can't, thumbing his nose at Devers like, dude, do what's good for the team. We're here to win. But the Devers thing, I feel like Breslow was made out to be the bad guy in Devers' eyes.
And I'm telling you, I think Breslow's agitated by it. It was almost refreshing to hear it, or at least be able to discern something there, some sort of human emotion from the bot. You tell me, Jimmy Murray, what's a more relevant number? I'm trying to find the exact numbers. What Devers is hitting, or what the two Jamokes at first base are hitting? I just lost it. I thought I had him. Devers went out and had a great weekend, obviously. What did the two guys, and I've forgotten their names, purposely so?
Abraham Toro and Romy Gonzalez.
What did they hit during the weekend?
Oh, geez, I don't even know.
Okay, so I had it and I lost it, but Devers went out and had a great weekend. What did those two do? In other words, the story is not what Devers is doing, which is still great. Good for him. What if you still had that bat in the lineup and you could replace those other two with another real bat in the lineup?
Bingo.
Oh, yeah, no, there's still a hole in the lineup because this a-hole refuses to play first base. And now, again, I don't like it. This is not going to change. I really don't see this getting any better because there's like real animosity between these two parties now.
Seems like John had a productive conversation. So I did some reading up of it. Was there a scene where they purposely said, "You stay out"?
Well, I'm just guessing, but how does – I mean, someone had to tell him, hey, you stay out of this, He's the chief baseball officer. You would think he's going to be involved in any kind of meeting like this with a player that's disgruntled. Now, you sit this one out. Why? Because the player hates you.
I mean –
yeah, something like that.
To have a productive conversation about what we value? Mazz, seriously. So,
yeah.
Devers and Breslow, who do you got?
So look, I mean, at the end of the day, Devers has got to go out and play the position. I mean, to me, so like if you're asking me which side I side on in terms of should he play or shouldn't he play first, play first. Shut your pie hole and go play first. And Mike, I don't know if you saw it today. There's a story from Kenny Rosenthal on The Athletic that he offers his opinion on the thing and says, and basically defends Rafael Devers. Which I like smell a rat on something like that and wonder where the hell's that coming from? Since when? Since when does the player get defended? And I think Cora's on Devers' side of this. So to me, the whole thing smells funny. But just to go back to the meeting on Friday night when Henry went in there, my initial reaction when I heard that they flew into Kansas City was, they're going to rub his back a little. Because historically, that's what the Red Sox do. In 2011, the guys were pissed about the TV schedule and the Sunday night games and everything else. So what did Henry do? He invited them all on the yacht. David Ortiz got screwed in a contract negotiation and was, outplaying his contract. So what did the Red Sox do? They got him a pickup truck and gave him a plaque. And so I thought they were going to go in and say to Devers, hey, look, we understand. We're just here to let you know how valuable we think you are. We understand the public outburst suggests some sort of level of anger. We just want to make sure you're okay. That's what I thought it was going to be. It was the opposite. And I'm taking Breslow at face value. I think that Henry went in there and to stand up for his chief baseball officer. I think that's what it was. I think he went in there and said, listen, this is not how we do it here. And he probably said it in a tactful way. I doubt that he aired him out. But I think he said, look, we think we can win. You're a big part of it. But we need you to do some other things sometimes. We want you to at least think about it. And Devers will ultimately end up over there. Does anyone have any doubt about that? because I think he's going to end up there.
Oh, I don't.
It's just a matter of when.
So I'm done. I didn't think he'd end up at DH. So I'm kind of less interested in that than this
The drama of it all.
the process. Well, of course, the drama, because it's it's fun to talk about. But if your best player doesn't get it, that's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Then whether he ends up there or not, okay, so he's ultimately going to end up there. The owner had to fly out to Kansas City,
Unprecedented.
just so he would pick up a first baseman's bid, or because he won't talk to his GM or what? That is old school Red Sox.
Oh, big time. It's great.
And I mean, not in a good way, good for the talk show, yeah. But holy Pete. So, again, the numbers. Rafi Devers over the weekend, 7 for 12 with a home run, 6 RBI. They won 2 out of 3. Not the story. Sorry, not the story. The story is that, again, the two Jamokes, Abraham Toro and Nick Sogard, went 2 for 13. That's the story. And if you could put Yoshida in there or one of your young guys in there, that's a more functional lineup, which is obvious. Okay, so Devers' talent is obvious. The fact that he's still hitting in the middle of this is a story. Good for him. You couldn't predict that. He could pout. He could shut it down. He could, pull a hammy, do all those sorts of things. So he's playing every day, and he's hitting. So, that's good, and I'm not chalking that up as an automatic. But what he should be doing is saying what's ever best for the team. And, so you told me to put away the mitt. Yeah, okay, fine. Someone got hurt. Someone blew up their knee at first base. The things aren't equal. Things aren't the same. My goodness. And Breslow, again, you can just feel the tone in there. Give me Breslow number 2, Jimmy, if you could, from Friday after the meeting with John Henry.
Rafi was clearly frustrated with the situation. My kind of reaction was, potentially there was some misunderstanding on the communication or an opportunity to more clearly provide communication. And so hopefully that was a step in the right direction here today.
Okay. But again, he's on the outside. He's not even in the meeting. And they had him talk to the media? That's something too. I know John Henry's not talking anymore, but shouldn't he have been the one?
Yeah, he declined. And again, I think the whole thing was to empower Breslow. That's what I think the meeting was about, to empower Breslow and make it clear that he's in charge of it because the star player called him out and they had to stand behind him.
How about Alex Cora, Jimmy? What did Alex Cora have to say coming out of the meeting, if you could?
I thought it was productive. I think obviously having everybody here and in the same place, it means a lot, not only for us that are on the ground, but the players and to Rafi too. So I thought it was good.
Okay. At another point, I think he said it was not ideal is kind of weird, to which I would say, for him personally, shouldn't he be kind of embarrassed?
Yes. They both should, frankly, but him especially.
Him especially. He's the the manager. After the owner just turned around and made you the second highest paid or third highest paid, whatever that is, manager in the game. You think he would say to the owner, "I got this is why you're paying me the money. I got it." Instead, he had to sit there too. So was he actually the translator? Did I read somewhere that he was the translator?
That's what I read too. Yeah.
Devers, John Henry, and Cora served as the translator. I like the guy that gave us all the quotes last week. Even though he apparently left some stuff out, he could have been even worse. I would bring in our Telemundo guy. But either way, that whole thing's embarrassing. And that, Cora's okay with it? Or what? What's up with your team, Mazz?
Oh, it's not my team. Please, I take no possession of this particular thing. It's dysfunctional. And look, I think at the crux of the matter is Cora and Breslow too. Mike, this was one of the paragraphs in the Kenny Rosenthal story today, which I read earlier in the day. And again, our buddy Matt the Stat also sent in a clip of it or an excerpt from it. But the general point is that Kenny Rosenthal alludes to this might be the first signs of a fracture between Cora and Breslow. And
Oh, wait, he's just getting this?
Yes,
Like,
yeah.
Oh, my God.
But
where were you in training camp when the guy was on the backfield for 3 weeks? I'm sorry, Mazz. I'm not chirping at you, but it's like these guys got to beat, the player has to beat you over the head with his selfishness before you wake up and see what's going on. But I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, but my point is, on a national level, I think it's somehow, put it this way, Kenny Roosevelt's been covering the sport a long time. I don't think he's offering you an opinion. I think that someone told him that clearly there's some sort of issue here between Cora and Breslow as it pertains to Rafael Devers. And I think that this was apparent because, again, the manager, it felt to me like the manager was siding with the player. Like, hey, I went to him the last time. I'm not doing this. He's not going to respond well to it. So you do it.
So I'm sorry. I thought you said Devers and Breslow.
Oh, no. Cora and Breslow. To me, that's sort of how I look at it.
I mean,
I think this story is as much as it's about the player and the GM. I think it's also about the manager and the GM.
it's just the manager shirking his responsibility.
Oh, that's why I said he should be fired on Friday.
I mean, seriously.
It's insubordination is what it is.
So if he's not putting out this brush fire, what is he doing? Where's the value?
Good question.
I mean, so that is just, to me, that's a doozy. All right, Celtics, Red Sox, Jordan Hudson, Little Miss Sunshine herself. You get that reference when I say that? You all see that movie, no?
No.
Oh, yeah, I saw, like 20 years ago, 15, 20 years ago, yeah.
Well, those are my references, Murray.
Okay,
Those
but
are
I get
my,
it. Yeah,
that's the last time I was watching movies.
Okay.